gotta.
I mean, this is a whole new side of you. Literally, it's a
It
perspective that we
absolutely
don't get
down.
to see.
I am overlooking the entire project here. I want to say thank you everybody for joining the amazing show where TK looks down on. No, I'm not trying to look down. It's it's a lot of different things. Uh, we have obviously technical problems every time, and of course this was my turn. Choppy TK
Ev-
with 600
Every week we're
megabits
doing it
down
live.
is.
Again, it was like we were starting to get like weird garbled audio, and then you were just
Mhm.
like,
TK's like, no. I think at one point I was like, and I'm like, yeah,
well, you had like lip smacking at one point. And you're like, I just don't think
that's
that's what
how
we
we
want to do for the
that's
show. Hey,
how we do it,
everybody.
man. We lip smack all over the place, man. It's like party
No, it's
time.
not. Oh, it's so gross.
Oh my
No,
god!
please. So,
Please,
everybody,
no, not
welcome
again.
to a wacky little podcast, and I appreciate your patience as we got this show up and running. This is another episode of Best of Our Week, where two old guys talk about the best tech of their week. I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell. This is my buddy TK Bay, and
Senor.
I, I don't know about you, man, but for like being in between a couple of major announcements, because
Yeah.
we were chatting at like Xiaomi 13 Ultras
Oh
and
man,
some
that was crazy.
exciting
That was
rumors are
crazy.
coming out soon. I also felt like this was yet another crazy busy week of other just like accessories and kind of complementary products. Like it, we've been having a lot of fun, even if it's like phone after phone after phone, but then also everything else we can do with our phones and tablets and game consoles and stuff
A
too.
lot of
So
a lot of things are changing. Yeah, no, I mean absolutely, absolutely. And I think the obviously the 13 Ultra I feel like still kind of overshadows a lot of stuff going on, but we both
mm-hmm.
had conversations on both of our channels talking about Android desktop experiences and some of the things going on with Android 13 and what can you do and what can't you do. Um, the challenge I think that we've been going through recently is that at least the way I'm seeing it right now, with the way tech is moving forward, obviously we're going into more specific niche based experiences. Cameras are becoming better; they're becoming more pronounced. Companies are trying to one up each other. There's more competition back in the game, where Xiaomi goes up with the 13 Pro with the 1-inch sensor. I mean, prior to that, obviously we had Vivo coming up with it, and then Oppo says, "Hold my beer. Let me go ahead and show you how we're going to do it." And then Xiaomi comes back and says, "No, no, no, my friend, please, you hold the beer." And let me show you how we're going to do it on this end. So this is like I'm excited for that part. But there are some areas that I feel like we're still lacking. There's some areas that I feel like Google's been, I think, putting on the back burner. And we're also
Sure.
one of the things I know you when you were talking about the Android 13 and desktop experiences. Some of the concerns I'm seeing in it, like some of the devices I used to enjoy the most with Android desktop, was the fact that we could actually, connect a OnePlus device,
Yeah.
at least in the U.S. market, and get video out. But it seems like since I'm not saying that it is since, but like since the 10T and then the 11, we don't have video out. I mean, those are that. I feel like OnePlus has it hasn't been any statement about it, but essentially the priority for video output has not been no longer a priority. I
Well,
guess it's for lack of a better term.
I don't think we anticipated the
Mm-hmm.
impact of the Pixel 6. So not the Pixel
The
6
six or
Pro, not the Pixel 6a,
the
but the
standard
Pixel
six?
6. And
Yeah.
from the Pixel 6 to the Pixel 7, we see a a starter premium tier phone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a mid-ranger, and it's
Yeah.
not really a flagship killer. That's like the Pixel 6a now. The Pixel 6a is more a true flagship killer phone. The Pixel 6 and the Pixel 7 are starter premium. You've just crossed over
Yeah.
from mid-rangers. You're looking to get yourself something a little nicer, but you're still
Exactly.
spending a lot less. And
Yeah.
especially because, like, psychologically, we've got this idea of a premium tier phone at around $650, like we used to have back in, like, the Galaxy S5 days,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a
Yeah.
nice phone. So now we've got so many manufacturers targeting a
These price points.
$699 and less
Mm-hmm.
kind of price. I mean, like on my desk, we've got the OnePlus 11. Oh, I don't know if I still have it on my desk. I
No, I
should
got it here.
have.
I got my 11. I got you covered,
No,
bro.
I've got my OnePlus 11, my
Gotcha.
Xiaomi 13,
See? Yeah.
which
Yeah.
retail the
Oh wait,
MSRP.
wrong, wrong,
No,
wrong
not the
version.
13 Pro, not the
See,
Pro.
see, see. No, I'm with you. I'm
Xiaomi
with you.
13. So retail, this was supposed to be like an 800 euro phone,
Yeah.
but really you can buy it for like 650. Even on
Oh,
GizTop to
absolutely.
import it here into the United States is like 650.
Yeah, and they
We
had it
also
on
have
early bird specials as well.
and also in keeping with that theme, we've got a phone like the iQOO 11. Each of
Hmm.
these phones took a step back from the starter premium price should be $999 or
Yeah,
$899
they've
or
taken a step back.
$799.
Well,
So
but I felt like
they've
that was more
all
of a
walked
Pixel
this.
6. Yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry.
But that's what I mean is like, so a Pixel 6, a Pixel 7 came in at like $500. These companies are making phones that are more powerful and in some ways nicer than a Pixel 6 or a Pixel 7, but they're still trying to target that sub $700 price tier. Anything they can do to wedge comfortably under the MSRP of Samsung and Apple. But that
Hmm.
also means we're inundated right now. We are flush with phones that do phone things.
Hmm.
The starter premium phones are really nice phones. They have
Yep.
really nice screens. They've got pretty good cameras, but they're designed to kind of tap out. Like they don't go much beyond that iPhone like phone that does phone thing kind of experience. And so
Yeah.
this to me is the concern because so many people kind of walk into that and they're like, "Oh, I got a nice phone." And you're like, "Yeah, but we used to have other kinds of computing experiences and gaming experiences and productivity experiences and content creation experiences, and now I'm having a hard time saying you need an 8 Gen 2 with a good camera sensor and it's going to be about $700. But why? You know, like
Yeah.
the OnePlus 11 is a screamer phone. It's a high
Oh,
performance
absolutely.
phone. It's a great gaming phone, but like even then, do we say OnePlus 11 or do we say, hey, save a couple $100 and get something in the mid range and you've got like 10% less frames per second in a
Like a 7
mobile
series
game?
as opposed to an 8 series. You know, I'm with you. The 8 Gen 1, sorry, the 8 Gen 2 is, I mean, we have a couple of options on the market right now that are bringing the 8 Gen 2 down to that rough price point. I think you get Red Magic and you get OnePlus.
Mm-hmm.
We see typically around that area a little bit more of the 7 series, the 7 Gen 1 or the 778. The biggest thing that I've been looking at, I think overall in like recommending for devices, I think the Pixel A series has truly been like ever since last year, especially with the 6A. Or sorry, with the 5A. You know, obviously, sorry, take that back. With the 6A last year, 7A is coming out this
Sure.
next week. I'm a little bit going all over, but the 6A seriously has been a champ.
Mm-hmm.
There was some challenges, but it benefited from all the things that the 6 series, the 6 and the 6 Pro had to go through. For the price point, it was hard to beat, and I still think it's a device that's hard to beat. I think the 7A is going to continue that, even though it's rumored to go a little bit more expensive. It's going to be running, obviously, about roughly $499. I was anticipating about $475 or something. But, you know, it makes sense a little bit more, and I'm sure it'll be on specials. It's hard to sell somebody on a daily driver that takes great pictures at a more expensive price point when all they want is, you know, for the phone to do phone things and to take good pictures.
Yeah.
It's a tough sell. I think this is where where I feel like this year is becoming more of that niche experience. It's like if you want to be a really like a very focused gaming experience person, you have Red Magic and ROG, different price points but different
Yeah.
experiences going on. If you want great cameras, it looks like Xiaomi, Oppo, and I think it's
Vivo.
like Vivo, definitely for the longest time has been doing it because they've been innovating in that field, and I think the other
Yeah.
companies are starting to catch up. You have those solutions and those are the top tier for that specific reason, Samsung included. I can't really take them out. I mean, they have good camera systems. I just don't think, you know, they're improving as much as some of the other companies. I feel like the Chinese companies at this point are literally doing leaps and bounds into trying to edge each other, and I really love that because the competition is creating better products for us. And as soon as we either, you know, both of us get our hands on the Xiaomi 13 Ultra, I think we're all going to be basically, you know, this will be a drool fest because for me, I'm like, it's hard to explain the excitement I get around cameras anymore because I feel like
Right.
truly, like I want to, I do, and I live in the camera. 90% of what I do because we create content is inside the camera app and what the cameras can do. Um, but yeah, so long story, short story, incredibly long. Um, there are some concerns, there are some things that are changing, but I feel like, yeah, you're right. Recommendations need to be tailored to the need of what people need to do, and you don't really need to go to the
Well,
flagship
but that's
for
also kind
general
of,
usage.
but isn't that kind of the problem though? Is because like we get a lot of people who will defend certain business practices and they'll say, well, I mean, if consumers didn't like it, they wouldn't keep buying it. And you're like, I feel
All
like
right,
we've
well,
lost the hearts and minds because I feel like that's a consumer education and marketing problem.
yeah,
Every
yeah,
single time I pull stuff like this out. So, yesterday, my daughter has
yeah.
like they call it Weird Wednesday. It's basically just a half day for the students, so teachers have a bit more of a
Weird
prep
Wednesday. I like that. I
afternoon.
like those. We used to have
Um,
pajama Fridays. If I was, they do still pajama stuff.
we do. Oh, we do some pajama Fridays. Dress up as your
Hmm.
favorite superheroes. I mean, we got some themes, but
I love
every
those.
Wednesday is kind of a half day.
Yeah,
And I was talking to one of the moms, and she's coming up with a game, a trivia game app. And I'm like, this is
yeah.
cool. Just this entire time, like this entire school year, we've just been chatting and hanging out and talking about like gadgets and stuff. So I said, hey, I've been playing with these glasses. You want me to bring them? So I
Hmm.
bring the Rokid Max. They're actually in my backpack downstairs right now because I haven't brought them back up.
I
But
really need to put that video out for those. By the way, I've been
oh,
watching so much
it's
stuff
they're
on them. It's
so good.
crazy. Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
such a
Sorry.
big upgrade for them. Excuse me. And I showed it off with a couple different things. So like I have my
Yeah,
Steam Deck, plug them into the Steam Deck. One of
yeah.
the kids there is like trying to figure out how to play Tetris. Kids today are terrible at Tetris. It was hilarious. But then I also plugged them into my Moto, and she sees Ready 4 pop up, and she's got a
Yeah.
Pixel. She's like, "Oh, is this what my phone can do?" And you're like, "No,
No,
not at all. Not even a little
I
bit."
know. I know. It's that education part. It's like explaining that not all Android is Android.
And so,
Um,
like, it's
yeah.
very easy and it's very lazy for a bunch of techies who have a desk full of gadgets like us to go there and say, "Oh, but if average consumers cared about features, they would buy them." And you're like, no one literally knows about this stuff. And when you show it to them, they're like, there is some massive FOMO.
Yeah.
I've been side by side some Samsung folks, and they look at the phone that I'll pull out of my pocket with the giant disc of camera sensors on the back, and they go, "What is that thing?" And then you take a couple photos and you show them the photos, and they do not look like what come out of the Samsung phones. And then there's this like desire button that's been pressed. They don't want to stray from Samsung. They don't want to stray
Yeah.
from what they're familiar with. They want to keep buying the product, but man, I wish my phone had something like that on it. And it's like, we can't even get the feature acknowledged, let alone like, hey, you know what? If you had the
It's so
opportunity,
scarce. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and the thing about it also is, I think I want to say that one year Samsung did actually mention DeX. They used to mention DeX back in the old days when DeX used to have its own dock. I think that's where we first got introduced to it. But even then, they stopped referring to it. I mean, they're still carrying it. Obviously, it's still a feature that they have, but it's not something that they put forthcoming in front of you so that even when you're setting up the phone and going through it for the first time, you would know that you can cast your device's screen and create a desktop experience on a TV. You literally have
yeah.
to either stumble on it in the settings and see, well, what is DeX? And
Well,
or watch a video of somebody. Yeah.
and
And they're talk
don't you
about it.
find it very? I find it very strange.
Hmm.
I don't understand why it seems so prevalent that like a lot of the folks that I run into, and I'm on the Samsung Dex subreddit, and I listen to people complain about like Dex performance, and it keeps like, hey, I tried connecting it wirelessly to this off-brand TV and it was really laggy. I guess you can't really use it for anything. Or I plugged it into my computer so I could use my phone like a computer on another computer, and it got kind of stuttery. And you're like, at some point, you know, like even when someone does find out about it, it's like the first opportunity they have to use it is the absolute worst way to try it, which is
I
going to
know.
color the experience in the worst
Worst way.
possible light. And
Absolutely.
then
Yeah.
they're never
Yeah.
really going to give stuff like that another try when you kind of show them like, oh no, I just plug it directly into this monitor. You can do that? And you're like, come on.
No, no,
And that to me
yeah.
is like we keep why I keep using phrases like bad hack political phrases like losing the hearts and minds. I worry that we might have lost the premium tier market. I'll be very anxious to see how the Xiaomi 13 Ultra handles being upgraded to USB 3. This is the first Xiaomi that's ever had a USB 3 port, and if it doesn't have video out and all the full capabilities of USB 3, then I think it's flipping game over. I think we can just pack it in. All of your phones are basically just going to be overpowered, running hot, poor battery life, hot rods that you can't do anything with. Your phones will do phone things. If you want a tablet, then you need to buy a tablet to do tablet things. You can't use your compute power anywhere else. I think it's going to be a trend towards removing all of that functionality.
I worry, and I am as cautious as you are when it comes to those things. This is some of those things that I like when I get a chance to talk to some of the PR reps and some of the companies when we work with them. This is why I always champion, and I always like specifically with Honor. I mean, if you're ever in the same pre-briefing in a meeting, regardless of what device it is, there's that one guy that always asks, "What about desktop mode? Does this device carry it?"
Well, I mean,
it's going to be your guy. Yeah, it's always going to be us because we're the ones looking for, like, seriously, one of the biggest appeals for me for the Magic 5 Pro, on top of the fact that we have great cameras, the sleek design, and obviously large display, high refresh rate, all the bells and whistles with the Agent 2. It's the fact that you can leverage that power, that connectivity capability on a large display or connect it to a neck stock and leverage that and make it do so much more. Your multitasking goes to such an extreme level once you're able to leverage those things. And I worry, like I said, right now, nobody's talking about it. Nobody's really kind of focusing than on the camera, right? Because realistically, the 13 Ultra it's a camera with a phone attached to it. This is literally how it's built, right? The heavy focus is on the cameras, especially the cameras on the back. And I know there's some people that are kind of a little bit disappointed, and I'm not going to deny I am as well. I wish that we got better front-facing experience, but it's the same thing as when we had this conversation when Sony didn't have a 4K front-facing camera. You don't buy a DSLR because you want to use a front-facing camera. You use it for the cameras that are there to give you the best experience. And this is what the 13 Ultra is built. This is what the Find X6 Pro, the Vivo, all these devices, they want you to live in the main sensor in the back because JC told us this a few years back, and we need to remember that JC always knows best.
So I just did that rear camera selfie. It turned out great.
I know.
This is like infinitely better than any crappy front-facing camera. I just did a blind. I didn't even point it to the camera where I have like the ability to kind of try and maybe line up a shot.
You weren't using the camera as a people.
Let me turn down the brightness.
I've done that a few times when I do my my mic test on the camera, where I use my A7S III as the alignment just to kind of figure out where I am. Man, this is a weird point of view for me to be in the office. Hey, who's that guy? No, yeah.
So that was one try, and I just flipped it sideways, and I took the photo, and it came out awesome. And this looks so much better than any selfie camera. The only thing your selfie camera is good at is video calling. Everything else is garbage. And if you hate your family, I guess use your selfie camera to take photos of memories. So that's the only thing I can come to a conclusion at is that everybody hates their families and all of their photos of special moments are completely disposable. You only exist to be the fuel that is churned in social media machines. And you're just getting constantly ground under the gears and you like this. This is what you like. This is the only thing I can come to a conclusion on, is that you like being completely exploited and abused by mega billion-dollar social media corporations for their profit margins and training their AI models. Because if you just turn the phone around, you get an actual photo that you might want to save.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, and I think it's just disposable content for them.
The reason behind that is it's mostly because, I mean the reality is, why do people? It's like, and we saw obviously if somebody was commenting saying, I've taken pictures with families with it. I'm not saying they're not good pictures. But
They're terrible
to use the
photos.
device,
They're selfie camera
if you're
photos.
taking a
They're gonna be
picture with,
garbage.
there's no convincing this guy. That's it. The show is done. Sorry, this guy. Wait, hold on. This guy? Wait, hold on.
That
This guy. Yeah,
that
yeah,
guy.
that
There
guy.
you
Okay.
go.
It's the whole, I'm on a new camera setup. I might as well just cancel the whole studio since I'm now able to do it. The Tab S8 Ultra has done very well the
It's
last
doing
few
pretty good.
times we've used it. Yeah, I'm surprised. Well, not really surprised. Because I am
So
using
I
it as a
still
front-facing
think,
camera right now. This is,
yeah,
the level. Yeah,
that's what I
no,
said. The only
yeah,
thing that these cameras are useful for at all are video calls. You are
absolutely.
helping to support. That is something that camera does well.
It's great for
Is
Zoom,
being
for
on like a
WebEx.
Zoom call.
Yeah, or a live stream like we're on right now. But yeah, no. The other thing that I noticed here, obviously, is we're talking about that a lot of people don't know that you could use the Dex experience or Ready for, or even Honor's Magic OS
Sure.
as a second screen, right? Because you're
Yeah.
running the desktop on the main screen on whatever display that you're using on the TV or whatever, and your phone still operates on its own with its own operating functions. You're splitting.
Mhm.
You're actually starting to somewhat push what the system is able to do, as opposed to having it run idle on maybe using the more
Yeah.
efficient cores 90% of the time. So it is absolutely a great point. Exactly what Farhan was saying. It's like it's the point where people don't talk about, and it's something they don't even mention. It's such a good feature that people just don't even, they, in almost none of the other reviews I've seen, once ever have they mentioned that the Magic 5 Pro does anything other than just obviously great camera, great UI, a few hiccups here and there in the software, but they're fixing it.
Right.
Nobody
And don't
talks
even
about
get me
Magic
started
Desktop.
on like, oh, I took a bunch of sample photos by pointing a camera full auto without testing any of the other features, and the colors are HDR and 10-bit, and it takes video in 4K, but that's
I know. No, absolutely, absolutely. But the reason why we're excited about the 13 Ultra, and I think the biggest thing about it, obviously, is what they're trying to offer
Mhm.
with the new technology they're trying to push with the main sensor, the 989, is trying to give us a variable aperture or multiple aperture stops, like an f1.9 and I think an f4,
Mhm.
in different stops, and the ability to basically reduce the amount of light, reduce the amount of bokeh you're able to actually generate in an image, and gives you a little bit more creative freedom as opposed to just doing that auto mode and click and shoot kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. A regular person picking up a 13 Ultra may not enjoy it as much as they think they would. It may be great to sound like it's the best camera experience. Once we try it, we'll be able to hopefully verify that. Obviously, if it's built on the 13 Pro, I know I already have like a flavor of what this is going to be. It's that extra control that I'm excited about,
Yeah.
where I get to control the conversation a little bit more. But like a device like that, or a Find X6 Pro, or even with the Vivo X90 Pro and X90 Pro Plus, those are specific devices. You don't stumble on them. So I really feel like it's just we have to appreciate what we can do, but we also should know that our devices are not just TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, email,
Well, I
and
mean,
basic things.
I feel we know this. I feel like
Yeah,
the
but
people in our
that's why
chat
I
know
like to
this,
champion
but
it. Yeah, I want to make sure
I
to bring it
feel
in the conversation.
I feel like we're missing those larger opportunities to be those
Yeah.
ambassadors for more people, and I feel like the conversation has kind of spun out. So I mean, we were
Mhm.
talking, we kind of got into this like super sideways, and I don't want to keep like circularly conversing about what the differences between these phones are and sort of a consumer mindscape,
Yeah.
consumer
And while you're doing that, I'm going to share the stream real quick on Twitter.
mentality.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, none of us tweeted.
Well, I was
um,
going to say I just realized that. Yeah. Sorry.
but the problem I'm having is we're beholden to a certain flavor of marketing. That's how a
Hmm.
lot of companies make money. The popularity of products are already sort of self-reinforced by algorithms that
Yeah.
self-select for popularity. So if they're not popular, then the algorithm is going to ignore them. But if they're already popular, then the algorithm will make them more popular.
Yeah.
So these types of trends reinforce a very limited idea of what these things can do. And genuinely, when I have the opportunity to show people anything different, it's usually regarded as like something impressive or positive, or I didn't know a gadget could do that, or I didn't know phones. And you're like, for all of this sort of apathy that we claim average consumers have about the current state of smartphones and how they don't use features and don't do things, my personal experiences have almost overwhelmingly been interested and excited, and
Exactly.
very frequently asking, when is my iPhone going to be able to do that? And you're like, as long as you keep buying iPhones, it will never do this.
It's
As
not a
long as you
function,
keep telling
sadly.
Apple that this is the type of $900 phone that you want,
Well, you
they
keep
will
telling
never
Apple that you want to
change.
buy it. You want to buy a tablet to be able to get that experience because you don't want to be able to have that baked in. Because
Well,
Apple bakes in. Yeah,
that's a very that is the specific, and
yeah,
yeah, but very generally, you can't
yeah.
change the behavior of a $2 trillion corporation by buying their stuff and then hoping they'll eventually give you something that a competitor has. That's not
Exactly.
how any of this works. And so
Yeah.
that's just, to me, is like, I'm trying to be excited about, like, I took the Xiaomi 13, not the 13 Pro, just the regular, the little Xiaomi 13 out for a photo walk today. And it's a stinking great point and shoot camera. It is a really solid little performer. It is in this glut of Pixel 7, iQOO 11, OnePlus 11, this Xiaomi 13, and like, I'm walking around and shooting with it, and even at sub $700, I'm having this issue where, man, I feel like I could be really close on like an iQOO Neo 6 or a
Mhm.
Vivo V27, and I don't know that the extra horsepower is really doing me a whole lot, because this isn't a game that's going to be this isn't a phone. This isn't a phone that's going to be targeted at a bunch of heavy gamers. A heavy gamer isn't going to take the littlest Xiaomi with the smallest battery and go, "Yeah, now I've got a gaming phone." Like, that's not who this
Yeah.
is for.
No.
And so
Okay.
I have to believe the person who's in that just on the cusp of mid-range to premium tier, they're probably going to value battery life above high performance.
Oh,
And it's like
absolutely.
those kinds of conversations that I keep racking my brain on. But this all dovetails because I put out a video talking about desktop modes.
Oh no, no, absolutely.
Which
I
you
was
can catch
trying
that
to.
video, and
I
I'm
was trying
trying
to
any way I can to show
dovetail.
some kind of advanced use, and it feels like the capabilities of our phones are slipping through our fingers. We don't have
Yeah.
headphone jacks, we don't have memory card slots. The Android desktop mode is fundamentally unusably broken in Android 13. Thankfully, I found some apps that we can talk about that can fix that. ETA Prime beat me by a day to making almost the same kind of conversation that I was trying to make. But um, if we don't scratch and claw our ways back into phones with features on them, we're very quickly, I feel, going to descend into sort of all wireless charging, batteries that degrade really quickly,
Yeah.
incredibly powerful phones, and the rumors on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 are like even
Already
more power and CPU cores and GPU
your prime
performance, and you're
cores.
like,
Yep.
and what can you do with it? And literally, where can you use that power? Because it's going to be locked up on a phone with a 1080p screen, and you're going to be gaming at 60 frames per second, and
And
you
it's
can
going to
do
be
that on a
throttled.
Snapdragon
It
865.
well, no, no, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like you're getting a phone that has a Lamborghini engine and a body of a Lamborghini, but then it's throttled to run like a Lamborghini from 3 years ago. So
And then the
the reality is,
reviewers are praising that. The reviewers are saying, "Oh, but you have this Lamborghini, you don't want to waste fuel. Most drivers have to commute in stop and go traffic and drive through school zones at 15 miles an hour. So I'm going to take this Lamborghini, and all I'm going to do to review it is drive it like how most average drivers drive
yeah,
their Toyota Corollas. So this hot rod Lamborghini, it wasn't very fun to drive at 15 miles an hour. I don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's worth it for the monies. I
no,
feel like if you wanted to get a gooder phone, you could get like a Toyota Camry, which is, a nice car, and it's comfortable, and it's really, really popular. So that's what you should do instead. That's what's going to be more worth it.
and I think 90% of the devices that we're seeing right now are built in that design. They are throttled by out of the box. They're limited by what they can do. We don't typically get them running the full bore performance mode that we're expecting. Samsung has dropped the ability of allowing us to use full potential on our device by putting it in more of an auto mode or low power mode. And that was, I feel like that was a bad move on just the ability of giving the, just allowing us to be able to control it. And I say this because Honor, Xiaomi, Oppo, and other companies are still leaving that functionality. Yeah, they flat out explain it to you. You want performance mode, monster mode, whatever you want to call it. They give you the toggle to turn it on. You can
I'm a
use it in
grown
that
up and I
short
would like to
experience.
nuke my battery, but I would
Yeah,
like to
exactly.
accomplish this task 10%
Right
faster.
now, performance is more of a priority for me on this device than it is for battery life. Why? I can plug that sucker up and have it fully charged in about 36 minutes anyways. It's not going to stop me. You know what I mean? It's that
Yeah.
experiences that you have to kind of start leveraging. And this is where some of the challenges kind of come in. It's like, how do you explain that? How do you not parlay that? How do you let that, the companies know when, like you said, if you keep buying their products and hope for them to kind of change in the future? Yeah, that doesn't work that way. It doesn't. That's not how change happens.
So,
On that
I
note,
made a
yeah, I know.
video, and you can talk about some desktop modes.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna. So again, I've been saying this in a sort of a defeatist tone, and I want everybody to know I genuinely do feel like it's done. Generationally speaking, the game is over. Enthusiasts are going to be pigeonholed into very tiny and niche slivers of these
Yeah.
products, and it's going to look weird. Like, why would you not have just a basic phone that does phone things? And you'll have to explain yourself, or those products will all dry up and will kind of sort of coalesce around like three main brands. And I think it's going to be pretty gross. But until that does completely upend, I'm still going to try and show off the
Yeah.
desktop mode and say, hey, you can do this. You should try
No, I know. I
while
mean,
you
I
still
had.
can, because it's probably going to go away.
I kind of had. I mean, we both obviously had like similar thoughts, roughly around each other. I mean, obviously, my video wasn't. It was actually referencing the desktop mode because I did reference Dex and Magic UI, Magic OS. I don't want to keep calling it Magic UI.
Well, I mean,
But
this is where we
UPerfect.
need to transition out of Juan just being a cranky
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
defeatist, because you've been
And
playing
I'm trying
with
to.
a
I'm
beast of
like,
a phone. I
I'm
need
like,
to point out, like,
yeah.
literally your video went live, and then it was like, oh, by the way, where did it go? It's back on my desk again. Is it back on my desk again? I could have sworn I had it right. Oh, it was on top. I had it on top so that I could easily reach for it, and then I reached for the bottom, thinking I had put it on the bottom. I finally got Android 13 on my Honor Magic 4 Pro.
Nice. Okay.
Like, just in time for your
Done.
video about the Honor Magic 5 Pro. So please tell us what's new
Yeah.
on
No. No.
the
No. No.
Honor Magic
So
5 Pro.
for me, so far this week, I've had a couple of videos out. I had a video dropping in on Sunday. I was trying to shoot for a little bit earlier last week, but the story around it that really got me with Honor and how they've been basically growing as a small brand now that is been independent from Huawei for at least a couple of years. The device itself builds on what we loved about the Magic 4 Pro, and both of us enjoyed that device quite a bit. I still enjoy it. I think the 5 Pro has a lot of conversations, it continued a lot of those conversations, added a few new tricks, a few camera modes in there that I kind of enjoyed. I tried playing that with my son. But I truly, it really wanted to kind of focus on kind of just showing what you can do, what you probably didn't know about this device. And I think that's what I try to, I guess, shed the light on in the videos that I try to put together. It's not just that I'm going through all the features, but it's also showing those little quirks that you may not know. Like you said, you mentioned this to a friend, or you show them a desktop experience, and they're like, "What? I have desktop? I mean, like Windows-like experience from a phone that I, potentially already own." And those are the biggest things. I mean, like, I don't even think my wife knows Dex exists, and she's used a Note in a Samsung device for many years, but that's not something she uses. But I've shared with her how to screencast her device, but not once did she ever wanted to screencast it in that experience. So what I'm trying to say is, the Magic 5 Pro for me holds a very special place because I have been a big fan of Honor for many years, and it's that continuation, and they really truly try to do and give you more. The cameras out here are very, very nice. They're the designs that we have here, a couple of different designs available, great amount of storage, a lot of RAM, fast connectivity, and of course 5G and everything. And it works really good here in the US as well. So I was very happy with that. And I kind of wanted to share that. I know all the reviews that were dropped the moment right around MWC, a lot of those were done with early software and early hardware that didn't have the final update. I needed to wait for that final update to come in, which came in about like 3 weeks ago. It wiped my device, so I lost a lot of the content I had on it from the trip. But I like the fact that I got a chance to start fresh. So long story, it's a device that you have to keep an eye on, and you really need to keep checking out what Honor has to do and what Honor's doing right now, and what their technologies they're trying to push. The V had the same thing, and this one also kind of leverages having 4K on the front-facing camera. We're seeing a Chinese brand put 4K, and it's a priority for them on a phone that people are going to want to take videos from the front-facing camera. And
no, I mean, the priority
so
would be using those amazing rear cameras. That's what
absolutely
people should be learning
exactly.
how to do, because all you're going to get is higher resolution garbage.
But still
off
not
of that
yeah,
selfie camera.
you're still not getting the best processing done in the front. You're right. I don't. So
if anything, I want to make a phone, and I want to make. I want to do this. I want to make a phone, and I want to make awesome cameras on the back, and then I want to like
put the display
every
on the
single
back.
time they go to like take a photo of themselves, because we've got all these AI tools that can detect faces, and you're like, are you sure you want to take a garbage photo of your face? Just pop up on the screen.
Don't even have to say.
It's the worst camera.
A small version of you pops up on the screen, says, "Are you sure? Are you sure about this?"
It's like Nedry in Jurassic Park. Is this? Are you trying to do a video call? Because you seem to be lost. If you want to take a nice photo of yourself, turn your phone around, and then you will take a great photo of yourself. And then I really hope like this is making a few people bristle. I almost want to start hurting people's feelings, because you obviously don't care about yourself or your family. And I just want to say, like, have a little self-respect, and have a show a little love for your family. Like, get good. It takes you all of like a minute to figure out how to go, and then aim your camera at the thing you want to take a picture of.
No, I'm with you. And with that, I do want to say, of course, thank you very much for everybody hanging out with us on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Bringing it all together, kind of circling back. No, but I mean, so for me, the reason why I was really excited, because I kind of tied that into what I did with the second video, which was long live. Yeah, absolutely, Steve. Always. The V60 is literally the last.
I'm just putting the comments up. You don't have to derail what you're going to say next.
Well, no. It would have been a conversation that even applied to the V60. But then,
if you're going to comment on it, and there's an audio version of the podcast, they just heard you. Stop talking about what you're saying, and then go, "Yeah, Steve, I know you're totally right," and they have no concept what you're reacting to, because you didn't say, oh, and there's a message here from Steve Pogue where Steve says, long live the V60. And then you can share your thought. This is how podcasting works. It's an audio format where they don't have the visual of what we're sharing here. But for the people in the live stream, I just want to share with them that we're catching their comments, because they're giving us some great stuff. But absolutely. If there's something you want to, like for example, Farhan says, now watch what I'm doing. Farhan says there's still no phone today that can truly replace the V60. And I would agree, in the total feature set on the V60, that's great. And I think that would dovetail with what you were about to say about the V60. And now the audience has the context of why we just randomly switched gears to go from talking about phones releasing this year to talking about a phone that came out in 2020. Otherwise, 2020, they're completely lost.
The amazing year of 2020 and the pandemic. It's one of the last. Actually, it was the last time you and I got a chance to go to on the same thing. But I agree. You're right. Right. I'm bad at podcasting. It's not like I've done. It sounds like I've done this before, and I usually do.
But I'm just saying, because we're mixing our mediums here. So there's a video idea of this, and there's an audio idea of this, and I feel we need to make sure that both are getting covered here. So you were going on. Honor Magic 5 Pro is what we're really talking about right now.
The reason why I was referencing it.
But I had some questions for you, because Honor is doing some interesting things. Like, the design is, I think, kind of a radical interpretation of the Honor Circle. So the Honor Magic 4 Pro had that circle design, that circle.
Yeah, they call it the Eye of Muse, the design language that they're going with.
It's unique, and I feel like I feel like Honor is one of the few companies that every single phone that I used to review from them when they started making their big push, especially when like Huawei and Honor were really trying to tackle North America,
Yeah.
pulling that phone out of a pocket, the Honor 8, the Honor View 20 with that like red chevron reflective rear
Yeah.
back
Yeah. Yeah.
plate,
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful
those
phone.
phones got looks. And I'm kind of curious, like my my Xiaomi 12S Ultra will get some like quizzical little puppy looks, but it's not like radical. So people kind
Yeah.
of look at it like, I think it's like a camera, but I think it's also like a phone. Okay. But that Honor looks very different
Yeah.
from any other phone that's out there right now. What has anyone kind of taken a second peek at it, or has it, like, you know, like any of your kids' parents, have they asked you about it or anything like that?
I haven't had many people reference it, but I will say that my son did like the design quite a bit. Every time I was trying to take a shot of them, and we're talking obviously about this guy. There's two different colors of them, obviously, and again, this is why this doesn't look that good. This is a front-facing camera. Uh, I'm trying to make it look good. It doesn't. It's just there's no. How do you? Okay, hold
It
on a second.
doesn't work.
There is
I'm
no.
telling
Okay,
people, why do you
so
use the garbage camera? But I feel like that was at least instructive for the illustrative
for
purposes of being
illustration,
on
for
this
illustration, I was
video
trying to
podcast for
show.
people.
Yeah, I was trying to show what the phone looked like. The so there's two different versions of the phone. There's the black one, which is a little bit more of a mirror finish, and
Hmm.
nothing against mirror finishes. They may look great, but they're just an absolute magnet for fingerprints. And the green one just looked absolutely fantastic. I was really happy that I'm actually collecting quite a few green devices. I mean, I think my OnePlus is the
Yeah.
green. This is green. Like the whole collection of green things. Um, the overall design aesthetic is very unique and very eye-catching. And like you said, it does look great. But typically, when I'm carrying it, I always carry it with a case, so it loses some of the
Oh, you
appeal,
don't get the
but
full effect of,
you don't
yeah.
get the full effect of the like the texture and so on. I'm not that adventurous to carry a device that I want to review that or that I use even any for any reason without a case of some sort, especially on a device like this, because the experience is just so nice. But the material they went with is very good. I will say though, the Honor Magic 5 Pro is a little slippery. If you're not heavy, if you
Oh
don't have a
yeah.
case, and if your hands are any dry, or if there's like where it just it will slide. So I made sure to comment
Well,
on
I
that in
mean,
the
like the 4 Pro, like let me like it,
yeah.
unless I'm like squeezing it with all of my might,
But yeah, if
it
like if you're holding
easily
the
like
phone
just
and you just try to
gravity slides through your fingers. So like I
absolutely
can't use this out and about without the bumper. I think it makes me kind of sad because I look at cases that kind of helped reinforce the design, and that's another
Mhm.
thing that I think we've lost.
Yeah,
I keep pointing to some of the BBK brands like Vivo and iQOO, but the Vivo X80 Pro having
yeah,
that hard plastic shell that kind of reinforced the look of the rear of the phone, and then also the iQOO 11, where the iQOO 11 has that sort of vegan leather back, but then the
mhm.
case looked like something sportier, and it was a textured kind of, it kind of helped reinforce what the phone looked like, as opposed to you've got this smudgy discoloring clear bumper thing that snaps on, and now your phone doesn't look like anything. It just looks
That's
like
one of the reasons
fingerprints.
why. That's one of the reasons I really enjoyed where I felt like Oppo did the right thing with their device. They gave you a case that comes in the box, but it mirrors what the phone is. So you're not losing the protection, but you're also keeping the
See,
same aesthetics.
and that looks
That,
good. Yeah.
absolutely. And then the X90 Pro Plus had the exact same thing, but the X90 did not. I know that specifically because
Yeah.
I was confusing. Juan and I were talking earlier this week, and I confused his 12S Ultra with the X90 Pro Plus. For some reason, I
How
thought it was that one.
dare you?
How dare you? I thought it was a red one. That was just like it's a good color. What can I say? You know. Sorry. I mean, jokes aside, both they're the choice of color and design. I think that's one thing that we kind of need to leverage. Exactly that golden ring, and then you have that extra. I mean, there's a lot of that. The aesthetic, the language that they're using with the 12S Ultra that's in the 13 Ultra. It's a continuation of the story. We'll go ahead and leave Juan for a little bit here. He'll be, oh my God, this show is turning very, very much into a different thing. So for the audio podcast, Juan is providing us a demonstration of how much he really loves the 12S Ultra from Xiaomi.
And it
And
was
it
probably
can
a
do it.
little inappropriate. I mean, if I
Absolutely.
were going to say, it bordered
If
on
we're
lewd. And if you
if we
missed
were
that
monetized,
in
yeah.
the audio version of the podcast, then you were probably better off for not having witnessed it with your eyeballs.
Yes. See, one plus one
Simon
for
says
that.
Hypnose, play the saxophone now.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I'm
so
with you.
so I think the burning question is, have we gotten to the same kind of camera performance that I think Honor is also known for? I was kind of surprised by some of the people that were very critical of the Honor 4 Pro, because I know like
Okay.
you made a few hardware compromises, but it was doing things that I thought were really kind of special or kind of unique. It's one of the few
Yeah.
phones that can easily make a transition shooting 4K 60 frame per second video between the main sensor and the telephoto.
Hmm.
Like not a lot of phones can do that. And so when you look at what the phone is able to accomplish, some of the hardware compromises at a price that I still think is very reasonable for what that phone can do.
Yeah.
Um, this one is kind of interesting because it's coming out with this big camera bulge, but it's not using that 989. It's not using
99.
that
Exactly.
1 inch type sensor. So obviously it's just really a garbage camera phone, right? You can't take any good photos with it. You might as well just kind of throw it in the recycling bin, and that's all she wrote, right?
I'm gonna have to disappoint the fans on that one. I know that's where all the
Uh,
leading conversations were going. Actually, it's quite
I'm giving you,
surprising. It's quite
I'm giving
surprising.
you
I
the
know you're right.
worst setups to talk
I
about
know.
this phone.
And for everybody listening to this, obviously the approach that you have to kind of see what the Honor 5 Magic 5 Pro is. It's years of evolutionary upgrades that Honor has been working on.
Yeah.
The camera style, the I would say the color science and the processing is still very much an Honor or typical to what Honor does. I know if the camera lost you, it's like, hey, we're back.
Sorry about that.
The improvements that they've done here are few performance in basically shooting log. The ability of having a fast shutter speed, auto mode, somewhat running in there to be able to capture fast running, action scenes and so on. I demoed it with my son. I was trying to shoot a picture of my son. I had him standing in my backyard, and I said, "Hey, do me a favor, just jump up and give me a pose." And I was trying to capture an image, a clear image of him in midair, and I was trying for
Hmm.
the hardest time. 90% of the time, by the time I hit the button to capture the image, by the time it actually captures the image, he already landed down. So it was
Right.
always a situation where it was like after about 5 minutes or so, I turned on the auto mode, and lo and behold, it was able to capture in midair, fully focused, fully, and the expression that I really wanted. And I can see some of those benefits, especially with parents. And if you're an action sport and you're going out there, you can turn on the
Hmm.
mode and still shoot regular pictures, and it'll try to do the best that it can to capture that moment that's going on. So there's a few little tricks that they added in there. But even without that, the ability of shooting pro mode, full resolution or high resolution images out of the 50 megapixel cameras was still really good. The combination that we have here is very similar to what we've seen before with minor improvements. That's the best way I can describe it. Still fast charging, fast wireless charging, 8 Gen 2, as you can imagine. Great UI, performance really nice, and everything in there just basically screams quality with the added functionality of obviously having a desktop experience that most don't really yet check out. So I'm really happy with that, and I was very excited to check it out. It built on what I was experiencing from Honor before, so I can't. I hope that if anybody has an opportunity to try it, that they would give it an opportunity and see how it does, because it really will surprise them. I don't think it's overpriced for what it offers. It's still competitive, considering that it
Hmm.
kind of, I feel like it's better than the S23 Plus, and it
I mean,
performs way
because it's
better in
kind
this
of
around.
it's trying to
Start going there.
ballpark in the same. Yeah, I was gonna say it's in the same ballpark as what the Magic 4 Pro sold
Yeah,
for
exactly.
originally too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
think that's probably Samsung's weak link is where we would both. I think we both have sort of the same fondness for the Notes, where
yeah.
they are crown jewel productivity phones. But I look at an iPhone 14 and I look at a Galaxy S23 and even an
Hmm.
S23 Plus, and I feel like the compromises being asked for $800 and $900 phones seem very, very high when we've got so many other manufacturers out there that are kind of offering comparable phone experiences at like $600,
Yeah.
or you know, someone will say, well, but what about DeX? And you're like, well, the Honor Magic Desktop mode is pretty good, and it has wireless support and cabled support, and it's got a pretty clean UI too.
No,
So
absolutely.
it's always been an interesting conversation to me. I feel like has Honor kind of cleaned up, because I know we talk about camera stuff a lot. Do the rear camera sensors match? Like, if you can
On
shoot
the
4K 60, can you shoot
Yeah,
4K 60 from the ultra wide and from the telephoto,
yeah.
or do you
On
get stuck?
No,
Because
no.
that's one of the things that kills me on the Honor Magic 4 Pro, is you lose camera sensors once you start climbing up to higher resolutions at faster frame rates.
You know what? I take that back. No, yeah, you do. You do. You do 4K. If you're doing 4K 60, yes, you do. If you keep it at 4K 30, you can shoot on all across. If you do 4K 60,
That's
you're capped to the main
one of
says
the things that
it.
kills me. I hate
Yeah,
having that artificial limitation where someone picking up the phone is going to feel like either something's broken on their phone, or they're just never going to bother using any of those advanced features,
they were
because
like
then you have to
where
memorize a flow chart of
where
4K 30 I can use all three, but in 4K 60 I can use this one or that one, but then this one really crops, but then that one doesn't. And if I feel like that is such it's such a huge opportunity to get out of the user's way,
yeah.
and like, so few phones are doing that well. Right now, I would say probably the top seamless version of that is the Pixel 7 Pro.
Yeah,
You
I think
don't
that
think about the operation of those camera sensors. All of them match. They all do the same thing. It doesn't matter if you zoom in or zoom out. And while you're shooting the video, you can switch between those camera sensors without having to stop and reset. And then you're almost never thinking about the operation of the camera
it's
once you
designed.
have the
Yeah, it's by
resolution that
design.
you
Exactly.
want.
Once you set the
And Honor
resolution,
is
you're
like the
good.
perfect brand to do something like that with, and they won't take that last step to match
I,
those
I
hardware
never,
pieces.
I could never understand the rationale behind. There's this component part of it, like you said, where you have high performance sensors, but you're not using them for what they're supposed to be used for. They're basically being put aside just for the sake of the main sensor, to make it sound like there's a primary camera and then there's complementing sensors around it. The reason why I kind of that I always it always boggles me is, how is the rationale behind, or how is the rationale done behind it? They're saying that the 1080p front-facing camera was going to get not only different type of sensors, they're going to get high megapixel sensors, but the processing for the front-facing camera is absolutely like night and day from what the main sensors on the back.
I
Like, you
know.
don't even consider, like, it's almost like a different phone, and but it keeps getting done. It keeps being this conversation that we go with, and
Yeah.
then we still get companies sometimes, they're boasting about, like, oh, but we have a 32 megapixel front-facing camera. But you're
No,
treating
you
it like a
don't.
5 megapixel camera that's been there since
Right.
back in the old devices. So it's
Well,
um,
they're treating it like a 5 megapixel camera because it's really an 8 megapixel camera. Like, that's what I was, because they're advertising 32 knowing it's a 4:1 pixel bin, and so it's really
no,
not
but
that much different than the 5
it, it,
megapixel cameras that used to
it
come out.
but the approach that they're going with, treating it in that manner, and this is something like
Yeah.
we even saw this with the I think Oppo was on the Find N2 Flip. The device has a really good camera stack, and then you could use them as a front-facing camera experience because you can close the device and you can use them there. The moment you do that, the cameras that are on the back start being treated as a front-facing camera in
Yep.
the UI element,
Sa-
which
Same
means you.
with what was the Nubia,
Oh man, yes,
the
Nubia.
dual
Oh my God.
screen Nubia,
The
and
Z20,
that
I want to say.
killed me
Yeah,
because it's
I
like,
still have the Z20.
why?
I think they never picked it up
It's
for me. I still have that. It makes no
it's
sense.
the same camera, and
It's the
now
same
you've
one.
taken away all of the features and controls that I would want to
Because
use.
Yeah, because it's a front-facing experience. The moment you change it, it's just that little. Anyway, I don't know.
That's
So,
a
I don't know.
that's a
I don't
no
want to harp
from
on it.
me, dog. That's a
Yeah,
no
I
from
know.
me.
Like you got me with the second display. You lost me at the camera being front-facing. But to kind of close the story on the Magic 5 Pro, I just want to kind of finish it off. I did put a separate video also on the UPerfect 17-inch 4K monitor that
Yeah.
is by far the like, I don't know how to explain it. I was hoping to try to portray that in the video. It is seriously one of the better built pieces of hardware that I've had to use as an accessory for any of my devices. And the beauty about it is that it is so thin. It supports a full HDMI input, USB-C input, second
Yeah.
screen for your Mac, for your PC, second screen for your camera.
And it's
It's
big.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
but it's there, dude. I wanted to. Okay, so once we're done with this, I want to jump over to the DaVinci conversation because I didn't even realize there was a beta in there. But editing
Sure.
videos, this is the thing about it.
Yeah.
When you're having to travel and you're in the, I mean, and you remember when we were at the MediaTek Tech Summit last year, you saw me with the two displays, right? I mean, I add displays to my PC because I need the real estate. I love editing on the go, but I cannot edit with a tiny little, I mean, 15 inches is not tiny, but like it's still. The fact is the UPerfect display is absolutely gorgeous. In certain aspects, it actually kind of looks a little bit better than my Mac. I was using it with the M1 Max. It looked better than that than the Mac display. It's bigger. It's the display just formats the content correctly. I put my timeline there, and I put my preview, my clean feed directly into the Mac, and just editing content there is so nice. No lag, really easy. One cable connection over USB-C. Video runs really good. Just make sure you're on power, otherwise it'll kill your battery quickly. So that was the exciting part for me, and it is mountable. That was the other thing that I was really happy about it. I'm actually going to be one of the things I'm going to do is I'm actually going to connect it to the A7S III that I have here, and it's going to be replacing another. I have like a big old 19-inch TV from a long time ago, just because I want to be able to get that 4K preview screen on there, and it's so light I can just connect it to an arm. Like seriously, it's how easy could it be for this? And it's roughly about, with the coupon that they gave me for the people that want to be able to pick it up, it's about $500 or so, a little bit over $500 to be able to pick it up. Seriously hard to beat, and it's a 17.3 inch. It's like I said, not your average. I'm not saying the average, but like your general 15.6 inch that we've seen before.
That's
typically 1080 or
common,
14. Yeah, those are the more common ones. So when you step up to 17, it's a different class, quality, sound, HDMI input all the way. Bam, no more mini HDMIs. One cable rules them all. So yeah, I was very excited on that and kind of bring it in. Favorite flip foldable like TV. So Brian Glaze says, stop talking about my favorite flip foldable like that, TK. No, I wasn't trying to make a comment on it. It's
I just thought it was mean because you were like, "Hey, Brian Glaze is in the chat. Let me just talk mad trash about his favorite phone." It's like, TK, that's gonna hurt his feelings. I just feel like that was a little mean of you, and he even did like a crying emoji. Look,
I know.
I'm upset.
You know what? I'm sorry, Brian. I really meant. I meant those comments with all respect, and where I really was trying to shoot for.
Let me tell you how your phone is garbage.
Well,
that's a mean thing. I'm rubbing off on you. You used to be the nice one. I used to. I
try to be the nice guy, but sometimes I'll say the look. The approach, and this is something I was very frank even with the PR people at Alpo. I explained. I said, look, you when you're leveraging and you're trying to boost the functionalities on a phone, and I love that. I still think the N2 Flip is the best flip phone, a clamshell style flip phone for 2023. Obviously, till Samsung decides to do that one-up conversation, they're trying to give you a bigger display. You need to make things functional. And you need to make them work well. Oppo listened. Oppo provided us that experience, and it definitely utilizing the MediaTek, the Dimensity 9000 Plus on that. It was really a good opportunity, and this is an easily fixed solution with software. This is not a hardware limitation because we know we can shoot better resolution images and content when it's being used as a main sensor.
It's just frustrating when you run into an artificial limitation because that's how some people are familiar with shooting on a selfie camera.
Exactly.
Which is also why we're exactly the kind of people who are going to go, no, come on. I shot it's on preview on the Patreon now. I don't know if it'll be up tomorrow, but it might be up over the weekend. And it's not a very long video. It's like 3 minutes. But I was just walking around outside, and I had a GorillaPod and a Vivo X90, and I just like I wanted to shoot just this little quick video asking out a question like, what do you use for image stabilization, or do you use any of these advanced like video modes and stuff? And like how immediately accessible it was to, I clip on a little mic, which we'll talk about this on my chest here in just a little bit too.
Yeah.
But I clip on a little mic and I point the camera, the rear camera at my head, and I talk for like 5 minutes, and I take that and I edit it down to being like a 3 minute video, and it's so immediately accessible. But one of the things that helps with that is being able to preset some of the video controls or video options that I would want. And then I am making a nice vlog and it looks good. It's frustrating to me because I feel so many people like act like what we're saying is the hardest thing to do ever. But all I did was roll back the exposure a third of a stop. Then I would push record on the phone, and then I would turn the phone so the rear camera was facing me, and then I talked. And that's the process. Like that's it. So I just kind of feel like when you artificially limit what the product can do because there's this idea of familiarity, it feels a little like that joke. We have to
Yeah.
outlaw steak. No one can have steak because babies can't chew it. And that's what kind of dovetails with why I was so cranky at the beginning of this. It's like,
Yeah.
well, people aren't using those features anyway, so we might as well remove them from phones. And oh, we've got like a tent prop up flex mode, but you can't really do as much with it, even though it's the exact same cameras that you would have used the manual or the pro mode with.
Yeah.
And you're like, we keep running into this wall of just the worst interpretation of consumer behavior, and it's unfortunately being proven true. Our buddy Andrew just came back from a great trip. He went out. He was out in the UK to go hit a sci-fi convention. He dressed
Nice.
up in his Starfleet uniform to go hang out with a bunch of Star Wars fans. So that was a good look for him. He was dressed up as like Captain Kirk in the Emperor's throne from Star
Oh, wow.
Wars, Emperor Palpatine. So yeah, he's great. But in one of the shots, he was like, "Yeah, I didn't. My friends and I had separated for a little bit, and he asked just like a random stranger to take a photo of him, and I think he had a Galaxy Note, so I think it was a Note 20. I think what he was using, and he's like, these are the worst photos I've ever seen. How does someone mess that up? Because it was literally like a hold the phone and push the circle, and you should have gotten a pretty good photo of him, and yet, that was a bridge too far for someone just randomly at this like geek comic book sci-fi convention to be able to pull off what we think is the most rudimentary kind of interaction, point and shoot camera kind of interaction. And it's like just time and time and time again, I feel like we're training consumers to also underestimate themselves, and then that bears true, and then manufacturers say, oh, but they aren't doing anything with these devices, so let's dumb them
Take things
down
away.
even more, and
Yeah.
then the cycle kind of keeps perpetuating, and we never really rise to the excitement that they hype us on. So we
Yeah.
always feel sort of vaguely unsatisfied, even when something is like, so even when something is impressively upgraded, we still walk away feeling like, oh, but it's still kind of just a phone.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I think this is it's one of those weird conversations where you kind of like, you have to kind of realize what your phone can do, and we are making it now into like, he's using obviously an older generation Note, but it should still be, like you said, a point and shoot kind of an experience. You auto mode, you're on there. Anybody, I mean, even your baby, your kid, your 5-year-old kid can technically take a better picture.
Same thing happened with my mom's cousin. I just call her my cousin, but she's got a fancy iPhone Pro that she is definitely not using to the limits of an iPhone Pro. But it was for one of Lex's birthday parties, and we have the family there. It's it's during the pandemic. It was a big deal that we had family together.
I remember, yeah.
Like we were
Especially when
really
we were
working
able to start sitting down with each other, yeah.
with my folks, and like, please test. We're gonna test. We're gonna test Lex every day for like a week before you guys come out here. And so my cousin like sees the sort of main family unit and goes, "Oh, let me take a photo." And she holds up her iPhone in portrait to take a photo of like 9 people standing shoulder to shoulder.
Hmm.
And you're like, okay, that's gonna be a terrible photo. Like, there's
Well, I
no
mean,
way that's gonna be a good photo. And then it was
exactly.
like, do you want me to get a photo with your phone? And I like put the phone sideways in her hand, and all I got from her, she's like holding it. We're sitting there for a good like 30 seconds, smiling. I was like, okay, I think I got one. And she had touched the phone like multiple times. It was a V60. It was an LG
Yeah.
V60. She touched the phone multiple times, and the only photo she took was a blurry photo of the ground as she lowered the phone. And you're like, how? How is it humanly possible that you could not have seen that not only were you never taking a photo, but that like you kept missing the shutter button, which is a giant circle for you
It
to take this photo.
so,
And then, like
some
that unfortunately has now become the expectation, and I feel like we're trying to make products for that, which we'll never succeed at. But then we're like we said, we're in that perpetual cycle of like, oh, I guess we got to streamline it and make it even easier. No, because those people are still not going to be able to use the product regardless.
it's a challenge. It's a challenge when some people are still intimidated with technology. The way, at least the way technology is represented today. I think Google tried to leverage some of their technology by doing that short video recording, where it actually records a very short clip of your image and then picks
Yeah.
the best
I mean,
frame of it,
Apple
then
did
gives it.
something like
Apple
that,
does
and so
something
now
like
we all
that.
had to copy it, and sure,
Yeah.
I guess.
And I think even that still has some limitation. I think you're right that the fact that the image itself was a picture of the floor means she thought she hit it and then brought the phone down to look at the picture, by then hit it again and she was taking the picture. There's always going to be camera challenges. I think in situations like that, I think honestly the best thing you could do is set a timer. Just say, hey, do me a favor.
That's
I just yeah,
that's
set the
what we
timer,
had to
turn it on,
do.
give them the phone, just say
So
hold it.
I run out to my car, and that way she could also be in the photos. So it
Yeah,
was also
absolutely
like
agree.
a kindness, but it was. And LG phones have a voice shutter,
Oh yeah, that's right.
so I,
You could just say you
I
could,
run out to my car. I had the Peak Design,
yeah.
so I pop out the Peak Design and I bring it back, and she's like kind of offended that I'm retaking this photo, but it was like, you took a photo of your feet, not of my family in the middle of a global pandemic. We moved like heaven and earth to have a birthday party for my daughter, so I don't feel you get to be upset here. I don't
I
think you
And you guys
you
drove there, if I remember correctly. It was a
yes,
long drive. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It
and not
wasn't an
only
easy thing.
drove, my mom took it so seriously that she found campsites. My mom drives a Tesla Model 3. She
Yeah.
found campsites that she could open air, sleep in her car, so that she wouldn't even have to interact with people in hotels. I mean, like, that's the level. So it's the funny thing is like, my cousin doesn't, you don't get to, you're not allowed to have your feelings hurt when I can't land that photo after all the effort the rest of my family went through to
It was
be
a tough
here
time.
for my daughter's birthday. So I set it all up. We take the photo. I say cheese once, and then I walk over. The photo's amazing. You're like, how? Me
Tripod for the win.
yelling at the back of my phone took a more functional photo than you could by pushing circle. We have failed to educate average iPhone
You
consumers to push circle get photo.
get photo and yeah, but there's also that whole be just a little bit of steady for a second to make sure you caught it. And if you're gonna hit the shutter button multiple times, where again,
And
some
tell
people
me,
like to take them.
what phone have you used where you don't see the preview show up in the little bubble?
All of them. There's
What phone
none.
exists? What How do you not have that expectation? Even if you're iPhone to Android. And
Yeah,
okay,
that's a
Androids
consistent
are
experience.
so confusing. Oh my gosh, things are in different places than they are. There's still going to be the little preview that pops up.
Yeah.
How do you not even acknowledge that that's so? Anyway, short story. Again, short story, incredibly long.
Incredibly, as usual.
I
Yeah.
very much enjoyed your commentary on a big monitor.
If you didn't know by listening to the show, we were talking about a big monitor made by UPerfect.
That's how we got here.
That exactly, and then we just took a left turn at Albuquerque at Juan and
Yeah.
Lex's birthday. That because that's
Yeah,
how we
that's
do it.
accurate. My parents do have to turn left from Albuquerque to
Albuquerque.
get out here.
Oh my
Oh,
God,
I-40 is a
we're
heck of a
getting
drive.
that is absolutely crazy. I did what's it called a couple weeks ago. We were in Austin for the John Deere thing, and we stayed a couple of extra days or so to spend some time with Omar. And one of his friends lived in Houston, not Houston, like a little bit, about an hour or so north of Houston. So we got a chance to
Mm-hmm.
drive about 2 hours and 40 minutes between Austin and I think it's Montgomery. It is very different driving, like when you go in, I can't imagine going for long distances where there's just nothing. And it was just bad weather at the
Yeah.
time, so it was a lot of rain. But then when we went back on Saturday, it was clear, but it was just literally like for about 30 to 40 minutes or so, we'll be just basically just greenish trees and open plains and just straight surfaces, and it's crazy. It's crazy, man. But no, I mean, I can understand. And you guys used to do it. You did it multiple times during the
Oh,
initial years.
actually, I don't. I haven't driven out to Texas. Getting through New Mexico and then driving through Texas because I've got some family in San Antonio. That's a
Yeah,
drive
we
too
were going to go
far.
to San Antonio. Yeah, we didn't get a chance
We
to.
just fly. But the desert driving, I kind of like it. It's it's like you've got to stack multiple trips to Vegas. Like we can hit Vegas in what, like 4 hours? You can make that
Mhm.
run from LA to
I mean, you
Vegas
can,
ish.
depending if you're going like like a 60, 80, 70 mile an hour. It's
Oh,
roughly
come
about four
on.
and a
Like
half hours.
anyone's driving to Vegas going 65. Come on. Let's not play that game. I mean, I'm doing like 75, 80 most of the way there.
Yeah, no, no.
But so from LA to sort of the
Barstow.
New Mexico Arizona
Oh, sorry.
border
Yeah,
is 12 hours.
yeah. Okay, so
And
it's kind of like LA
that's a
to. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, that's a serious.
like it's a
That's a
lot.
substantial. That's a
Yeah.
lot of driving. Yeah, yeah. No, I know. I've done it.
But I kind of like that drive. I kind of like just packing a bunch of snacks and playing some music and stretching your legs and getting a greasy cheeseburger at some drive-through and then back in the car and
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of nice, especially now that Lex has started doing things like contributing her own thoughts on playlists.
Yeah.
Her Cobuzz playlist is now 55 songs strong.
Nice.
And it's kind of she's got some bangers on there. Like she's got some really good stuff. I gotta pull it up because I'm a proud papa here.
Yeah.
But the Lex Girl Power Fun to Sing Along playlist. Come on. No, my Cobuzz, my playlists, Lex Girl Power. So Taylor Swift, You Need to Calm Down. Positive and Negative by Good Grafe. Get Out by Churches. The Anna Kendrick a cappella Cups from the movie Pitch Perfect.
That's a good
Purity
one.
Ring, Begin Again.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, that is a good song. Dua Lipa, Break My Heart. Tori Kelly, Should Have Been Us.
Mm-hmm.
Poker Face by Lady Gaga.
Good one.
Royals by Lord.
Of course.
She really likes Complicated by Avril Lavigne.
Just complicated. Okay.
A
Okay.
7-year-old is in the back just belting out, "Why you gotta make things so complicated?" Janelle Monáe, Tightrope. Sarah Bareilles, Brave. Antihero by Taylor Swift. Roar by Katy Perry. Breathe In by Frou Frou. That one kind of rocked me because I loved that album and I don't think I'd ever played it for her. And she was like, "Yeah, I want that breathe in." And you're like,
How did
How
she
do
get it?
you
I mean,
even
was she
know
listening
about
to
that
just an
song?
auto playlist and then she's picking out songs from playlists? Is that how it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not entirely. So I think Marie will let like, because Marie, I wish Marie would piggyback on my Cobuzz, but I think she's
Mhm.
still got like her favorite playlists on Pandora or something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
Marie listens to more pop than I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's where Lex has heard a few of these. I had to make fun of her because she has Lazy Eye by the Silver Sun Pickups, which
Okay.
sounds like it's a female singer, but it is
It's
not
not.
a female singer. But we put it on the playlist anyway. What About Us by Pink,
Of course.
Need Someone from Zara Larsson, This Is Why from Paramore, So Good from Halsey, Rachel Patton, Christina Perri, Ingrid Michaelson. She has a poppy song. She doesn't. My 7-year-old daughter has opinions on the era of Poppy where she was produced by Titanic Sinclair versus the era of Poppy post Titanic Sinclair. And like, how?
How?
How do you
How?
have an opinion? Because she knows the difference between that Poppy and
It's a difference.
Poppy.
Yeah, no, I know.
Because it's a
It's a
different
different style.
sound.
It's a
It's a
very
very
different
different
sound. It's a very
sound.
different. Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God, that is.
And she's blowing my mind. So yeah, it's like
Okay.
55, 56 songs strong. And the last one that she just had us put on, we were just driving to go grab some barbecue,
Mm-hmm.
and we're playing it on the radio. Not playing it on the radio. We're playing it on
Playing
just
it, playing on
the
in the
USB
car.
drive in my car.
Yeah.
I have like just a random mashup playlist, and she's like, "Daddy, I need that song on my playlist." Janet Jackson, When I Think of You. And like, 7-year-old daughter, I will absolutely add Janet Jackson to your girl
She
pop
has a
playlist.
taste for the melodic
Bought it.
for the vocals. I think she's capturing the vocals. It's the message and the
Oh
emotion in
yeah.
the vocals in there. No, yeah, you can sense it. I mean, the different songs, different emotions, but typically very much strong female, centered vocals and very much a lot of emotion being put out, which is, I mean, typical
But
pop songs and music
she's
and stuff.
got a real good ear for pop songs that have a fun hook. Like Get Out by Churches has this it's this repetitive kind of chorus, but it's such a brain worm.
Hmm. Yeah,
Get out, get out, get out of here.
yeah,
And
she's
like
listening to the
when you've
words. Yeah.
got like 80s era electro synth pop backing up a really cute female voice that's also belting get out, and she's almost giving it that glitch treatment, but it's
Hmm.
not processed like that, but it's almost that kind of glitch. And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's actually really fun to belt when you're just kind of sitting in traffic. And she's just got a playlist of bangers, like almost every single, like Sarah Bareilles, that is a fun song to just kind of scream out,
In the
brave
car,
and
close the
kind of
windows and start screaming. Yeah, exactly. No, no, I'm with you. I'm with you.
or throw open the sunroof and roll the windows down and let everyone know.
That won't be me, but
So
I know what you mean. No, I
I
know.
really want to claim more credit. I mean, Steve Pogue, that is very kind of you. You must be doing something good as a parent if your daughter isn't afraid to express her opinions on music. And thank you. I feel like between my wife and I, we're just always kind of on the lookout for a good new song. Like, that's kind of fun. But just the fact that so far Lex's tastes have been pretty good, I haven't had to, like, oh, I don't know if I want to listen to that, Lexi, or, you know, like she didn't say very long in the little kids bop kind of style of
Yeah, I think
Disney
you grow out of it
tunes.
because I mean the kids pop is really more repetitive, not repetitive, like regurgitated or reformatted, pop songs there that she probably wanted to listen to the original as opposed to listen to the kid pop version, which if you really
Sure.
kind of listen to them after a while, they all sound pretty much the same. It's just, I get it. Yeah, when things
So
are being leveraged, but yeah, sorry.
Brian Glaze, I'm disappointed that you haven't made her listen to any Mary J. Mary J. Blige is on the list. We're gonna go through a whole era of like R&B and hip hop because I need my daughter to also know some Queen Latifah. I mean,
Yeah.
MC Light. I mean, she's got to know. Some of it is storytelling that might be just a bit advanced for my 7-year-old, and the pop music stuff is more anthemic and usually a bit shallower, even when it's something that's kind of like rah rah girl power. Some of the conversations that we find in hip hop, because like at the same time, I'm gonna dovetail that, and she's just a little bit older. Like Roots, Things Fall Apart has got to be in her musical lexicon and in her education for storytelling, just because
Yeah.
that is, for me, that is canonical modern era storytelling is hip hop. I feel like it took the reins over from classic country. Country was a storytelling genre until it became just sort of hick hop and like bad talking pop for white guys. But again, on that, she'll probably also have to have an education on Patsy Cline and Dolly Parton, because like to me that is crucial for understanding sort of the structure of musical history. Just real quick, I won't go too deep into this. The Tech Boy, Who's Poppy? You see, there was a singer. Her name was Mars Argo. She was this very, very petite, cute, like soft-voiced pop musician, but would sing these sort of like almost kind of maudlin songs. And she was produced by her boyfriend, a guy named Titanic Sinclair.
Yep.
They were like a prototype for early internet ARG unsettling content. So they used to do this, I think it was called Computer Show. Back before I think YouTube was owned by Google. And Computer Show would make fun of branding and advertising and like social media before that was ever really cool. And they would do this really unsettling overdub thing where it sounded like ASMR quality mics like up their mouths.
Yeah.
But you also were doing this in a wide shot. So I'm pretty confident on a lot of those videos, they would shoot wide and then redub themselves so that the voice wouldn't quite match what you were seeing, even though they were saying the same thing over again. Titanic Sinclair and Mars Argo broke up, and then Titanic Sinclair started producing another pop singer named Poppy. And so the original channel was That Poppy. He basically stole Mars Argo's shtick and just slapped it on this new little pop female singer. I think her biggest hit with Titanic Sinclair was Lowlife, and it's this sort of faux reggae beat with a white pop singer. It's actually a really fun song, but I find it to be a little problematic in how you sort of appropriate other musical genres. Mars Argo got real mad because That Poppy kind of stole her shtick, and so they kind of started getting into a bunch of courtroom battles over IP and who owned what and like what you're trying to rip off. But at the same time, Titanic Sinclair and That Poppy were producing all of these crazy white psych, empty space, overdubbed ASMR style videos. They basically stole the whole Mars Argo shtick. So then That Poppy kind of stopped. I think she got tired of being sued for Titanic Sinclair stealing these ideas. And so they parted ways, and she retained control of Poppy, but she went off and started doing much darker pop. And I think she even produced sort of a Scandinavian style metal album.
Okay.
Like hard, like death metal.
Okay.
But with her like soft vocals. It's almost kind of like Tool. Like Maynard's voice is very melodic on top of like really grungy rock and roll or hard rock. And so Poppy has gone off in this like musical experimentation genre outside of just pop. So that is the condensed history of That Poppy and where she comes from in the whole grand scheme of indie pop music.
And the pre and post Sinclair era.
And my daughter,
and then
I was going to say,
bring it back.
She prefers the post Titanic Sinclair era Poppy. The song "Stagger" is again, it's just like it's kind of gutting, but it's also pretty, and it's got a hook in there where you're like, I enjoy singing along with this song. I very much like that it's a part of this musical playlist that my 7-year-old has put together.
Well, as Brian was saying and Steve was saying actually earlier as well, I think you've done really good at least expanding the horizon for her, and at least allowing her to build her own style and her own taste, and actually in music. Because
I'm digging it.
as much as I've tried and influenced my son with some trance and techno and different things, he's starting to develop his own style. I mean, he's not. I mean, he listens to him. He enjoys trance. He and I really jam to some good stuff.
That's the next thing. I'm actually going to pick your brain on this later. I mean, because when we finish this, we're probably just going to both like go immediately horizontal and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because of the second Trolls movie, the next playlist my daughter wants to put together is EDM.
Yes, I love EDM.
I'm gonna pick your brain for just like a couple like what are some. I mean, because like I can always hit her with like Steve Aoki, or we could go dubstep, or you know, like
we're gonna say or Daft Punk a little bit in there, or Tiesto, or even
she's
there's tons.
She's already on like again, she doesn't have a broad. I mean, she doesn't have a deep collection of electronica, but she knows robot rock.
Yeah.
Like, she knows some of the she's seen the two girls dancing with boxes on their heads to what is it, better, stronger, faster?
Yeah, faster, stronger. Yeah,
faster, stronger.
Faster,
no.
stronger. It is no.
And because there's four and I can never remember. But anyway,
stronger, faster. Okay. Then I know. But essentially, the genre is so big. The problem with EDM is there's so many different levels of it. There's trance, there's techno, there's hard style, there's melodic trance, there's vocals. But I think she'll probably fit really, really good, and kind of like you said, like the Avicii, the Steve Aoki, a little bit more pop style trance dance experiences. I think that'll be definitely very good. But yeah, no, absolutely. And I think with what we try to do is we try to kind of like set the starter for that experience, and we allow them to build their own style, because there's still going to be that friendship experience where they learn from their friends and what their friends like to listen, and that's also going to color the conversation a little bit on top of what we've introduced. So as he now listens to some of the music I listen to, but he kind of progresses. Dragon Ball was a big thing for my end, and then obviously that continued. But essentially, we try, and the kids are just, they're sponges. They absorb everything, not just us, but even their own surrounding.
I'm just kind of hoping like my daughter can be that one who's maybe one of the. I don't want to use the word like instigator, but she's one of the ones that starts a bit of a trend. Like, this old band, or have you ever done this? Or my dad has this like crazy collection of like '90s era.
So for Omar, he's been listening to quite a bit of classicals because of he plays trombone. So there's that influence as well as his appreciation for classical music and understanding different instruments, and like he's trying to play a little bit with the keyboard upstairs. He's interested to play a little bit more keyboard. I forgot the name of the show, but there's a Disney show that he likes to watch, and he's trying to play the theme song on the keyboard. And I was like, wow, that is so much better than I thought I could ever. I mean, I can't even touch the keyboard. I was like, let alone play something that sounded like music. So it's interesting. It's very nice. But I do want to say something a little bit as far as audio when it comes down to it. You got a chance to play with a little bit of hardware that is really good. So anyway, so you have, I don't know, is that what you're wearing? Is that what's on your chest, my friend?
So, I mean, not only have I had a chance to play with it, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to it this whole time. Big reveal. I've got like this Iron Man disc in the middle of my chest right now.
Yeah, the arc reactor, the mini arc
Saramonic.
reactor.
Yeah, the
mini arc reactor.
Yeah, Tony Stark built the arc reactor in a cave with a box of scraps, but this one's even smaller.
And it doesn't have to be inserted. It looks fantastic.
This is the Saramonic Blink Me. I can't hold up the receiver because it's on a much shorter USB cable than I anticipated, so I'd have to unplug it, and then everything on my computer will go bork. So
that's
that would be bad.
That is not do that. Yes, no. Maybe the box
comes in a cute little flight case,
nice.
and it is like it's an actual proper rugged, sealed flight case, and it's another of these dual microphone, dual wireless microphone setups. So there's one receiver with two wireless mics that you can use sort of like interview style. And again, it's like I feel like from Rode kind of popularizing this in a way that's a little bit more of a crossover between consumer and professional. Like I feel
Yeah.
like the Rode Wireless Go 2 got us to true prosumer in this
Yeah.
sort of wireless setup. I really liked my Komikas. I had a great
Hmm.
working relationship with Samsung
Hmm.
back in the day. Samsung was the first that really put out this
Yeah, I
two
worked with them
two
a couple of times.
transmitters to one receiver. Yeah,
Yeah.
really good stuff. But I feel it was Rode giving us features like on transmitter recording.
Yeah.
So just like the DJI, just like the Rode, and I think there's an Anchor that does something like
There is an
this
anchor.
too.
Yeah, they all followed. I
I
mean, yeah,
haven't played with it.
once people realize that, hey, this is a feature people like, let's make our own flavor of it. But and the reason why I was mentioning it because I got a chance to see the generation right before this one from
Yeah,
Saramonic, which didn't incorporate onboard
yeah,
recording,
it's
and that
tough,
was to me
right?
was like it was a hard shift from going from the wireless Go 2 and then like you kidding me? I don't have backup. Like I can't
Because
just yeah.
there have been a bunch of really good. Like I even kind of liked the Joby,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
Gorilla
Joby did
Pod
pretty.
manufacturer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the Wavo series, those mics are pretty good, but I'm now really leaning on the ability to record.
Yeah, or
And like my
not
Rode
have to
Wireless
connect.
Go 2,
Yeah, you can
I
record it
might
without
not
even the transmitter.
always throw on a receiver. Exactly. So these are notable because they come really well accessorized. Like you basically get this crazy stack of magnets. So in the box,
Yeah.
you have just so right now I've just got it stuck to my shirt on a magnet under my shirt, and that's really quick and easy to do. Or you can also go to a cold shoe mount for the
Oh,
receiver
nice.
or for the mic, or you can also go with like a little clip,
That's
so
good.
you
Yeah.
can like attach it to something. And the design is pretty sweet in that it's this flat cylinder, so that when you have it on the clip, you can rotate the mic 360 degrees to get it to line up properly with where you've got
Where
it
you want.
clipped. It's one of the
Exactly.
tricky things with the Rode is that the clip is built into the case of the transmitter. So if you
Yeah.
clip it sideways, the mic points sideways. The mic is wide enough that you're probably going to hear your subject okay. But on the Saramonic version of this, you can rotate so that the mic is pointing kind of more generally
Straight.
in the direction of your source. And
Good.
then the other cool thing is that this is also touchscreen control. So I don't
Oh,
want to turn it on
nice.
now because it's going to send another signal to my receiver. And
Okay.
if I mess with this too much, actually, I can try and just turn the screen on. Let's see if that. So I can turn the screen up. Oh, nope. Come on. Point down.
No, we
And you
see.
can
We see.
kind of
Yeah.
see the
Yeah.
levels are showing on the mic screen, and there just kind of turns back off again to save battery. Ridiculously long battery life. I think you've got up to, I want to say it's something crazy like 10 or 12 hours of recording
Oh,
in
crazy.
wave
Even better than the
in
World Wireless. Yeah.
16-bit wave.
Yeah. Yeah.
8 GB of storage, and when you're only recording audio files, that can last you a really long time.
Very, very long
Um,
time. How
my
about
my kit. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
sorry. I was going to say, how about app control? Are we able to, is there an like the Road app control center?
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. Is
Okay, sorry.
so this is crazy new. The kit that I'm using is still on beta firmware, and
Hmm.
Saramonic has just released an Android app that really doesn't work. It needs some updates. So your ability to do things like you can change the wallpaper of the mics, so you can like have different colors, or if you want a different background image. Right now, that kind of stuff really only seems to work consistently with iPhones
That's
on
what I do.
Saramonic.
I put my own.
That's great.
That's all right.
They contacted me and said they're looking into some of the limited support that they have for Android. Right now, the big problem is just logging into the app. So they
Okay.
want you to use an email, and then they send you like a passcode, and then that kind of activates all of the app's features.
Okay.
That right now is proper broken. So I can't put in the email address. I have to copy my email address and paste it into the app, and then I get a code on my email, And when I try to put that code in the Android version, it just goes, no,
No. Yeah.
not accepted. And you're like, I really need to update these mics, but they just need a little bit of polish on that. I've been using them just as standalone audio recording units, and with the exception of one of the Vivo.
Yeah.
I did the Vivo V27 video where it was just
Oh,
my
the new ones.
hands
Hmm.
because I couldn't show the mic. The mic was under embargo. So I purposely did that video not on camera. That video, I had 2 glitches in the recorded audio. So they
Okay.
definitely need a firmware update. They definitely need some app polish, but the
Yeah.
entire kit together is like $250. And that's
Wow.
really well accessorized at $250. So if you're
Yeah.
looking for interview style mics, if you're looking for podcasting or vlogging style mics, they do not have an input for a lav though. So you
Okay.
will not want to use these for like fictional. Anything you would need to hide the transmitter and run the mic, like through
Yeah.
clothing, that's where something like the Rode Wireless Go or the DJI are going to be better.
BJR, I think I
But
feel like
for
it by comparison is the closest to the road. I feel like they're both kind
yeah,
of like right around each other, and I feel, and I think yeah, even with Anchor, I think it still has. It's not 100%, but I feel like at least
yeah,
for Saramonic, this is the move in the right direction. Onboard recording and working out the software concerns, I think we'll definitely get them into that spot where
for
they're
sure.
known for that. I mean, Saramonic makes
Well,
audio gear
and
for professionals. It's
and
not,
I
this is not
really
just like their first
like
time.
yeah, no, I mean
Mhm.
like Saramonic mics have a reputation, a really good
Absolutely.
reputation in that space. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. Again, it's kind of like when you buy an import phone and it actually has accessories in the box. I really like
Yeah.
that you buy this kit and you snap it to a magnet and you push go and you're recording the audio. It really is the most streamlined setup I've found yet, where
Hmm.
you don't have to buy extra accessories. I like our good friend Dr. Ian Cuttress really
Oh yeah,
uses the
yeah.
Rode Wireless Go 2, but you can see sometimes he gets real creative with how he tries to clip the transmitter, and it's like I don't think he knows about the magnet for it because you have to buy the magnet separately and they're kind of expensive per
Yeah. And they snap.
transmitter.
And they
And
snap.
they can crack and split, and they're surprisingly powerful magnets.
They're very yeah. Like yeah.
Oh, yours really really
And they won't go
tanked.
back. Yeah. So ow.
No, they don't go
So what
back
I do now
together.
is if I want to clip it, what I do is I keep the small one connected to my desk because it's a metal. The legs are
Oh
metal.
yeah.
So I just anchor the mic on there, and if I ever have to use it on my shirt, I use the bigger piece and put it under my shirt. It still works. It just doesn't look professional. I was like, what is he putting a pebble in his shirt and trying to put the thing? Yeah, it works, but you're right. When you warned me and you said they break easy, they do because it's just such a strong magnet and they're thin. The sheer force of snapping against each other will crack them
Oh
up. But yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Oh, and it is violent attraction on
Yeah,
those road magnets. So,
yeah,
the Saramonic kit is pretty spot on. I
I like it.
really like this as another solution for like we've seen a bunch of mini boom microphones between $100 and $200, right?
Yeah,
Like the Rode mini boom is pretty good. Joby, the Wavo,
Joby
is
makes
pretty
it. Yeah,
good. But that's all camera perspective audio.
yeah,
And I don't think, again, it's one of those consumer education things. You can go wireless,
yeah,
have the safety of recording locally in case the wireless signal does catch some interference, because that's
yeah.
going to happen in really busy environments. And
Exactly.
then anything you want to do from a solo vlog to an interview or documentary style is so immediately accessible. And I genuinely like, I don't know how to express all of the other things that we used to need to pack and carry to accomplish the same task. I used to
Hmm.
do location sound mixing for
Yeah.
TV and for movies and for documentaries. And there was one project where we were doing interviews, and obviously the camera team takes all this time to set up. They've got green screens and they have like people sort of sitting in front of it and they've got to get all the lighting done. But at the same time, it was just me running sound. And so we wanted it backed up with a boom and a lav.
Mm-hmm.
That means I've got to run cables. That means I've got to have mic stands. I've got to stay out of the lighting of the camera team. So I've got to figure out a way to hang a boom directly over someone's head that it's not going to catch the fill light, throw shadows behind the interviewer. I
Yeah.
have to snake a lav. Those lavs are running off of AA batteries. It's one transmitter to one receiver. I've got to take that receiver and then feed it into a mixing device that I can run audio to the camera and be able to record locally. So I've got a backpack. I mean, you know, like you've got one of those giant duffel bag backpacks full of gear and mic stands and all of this stuff. And today, I would feel pretty comfortable turning to a mic like this or like the Rode or the DJI to do the exact same task. And it's literally just 3 pieces that look like this. And that's it.
Absolutely.
And I can run that. That to
Yeah.
me is ridiculous evolution of what our capabilities out in the field can really look like. So I
Exactly.
know that's kind of like overkill for a lot of people. Hey, I just want to shoot some fun videos with my family and stuff. I'm not saying
Yeah.
go ahead and spend $300 on mics to spruce up your family home videos. But
Exactly.
there's so much that you take that step. Like if I want to interview my grandfather before he passes about what was life like, you know, tell me some stories. What was it like growing up? You served in World War II. Like I can just put this on him and he can talk comfortably and I don't have to worry about freaking him out, you know, like trying to put a microphone in his face or something like that. It just sort of opens your mind a little bit on all the other things that I can do with audio that my family might enjoy or that, you know, a YouTube channel might enjoy. And that to me is the fun of how aggressively these audio products have fallen in price from
Exactly.
that first Samsung kit, because I want to say that was closer to $400 all kitted out with all the accessories, to now like a flight case full of almost all the stuff that you would need is around 250 to 300.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, I mean it's crazy. I mean, I use the Rode, the Wireless Go 2 as my main microphones now. I don't have to worry about it. And when I'm traveling, I just pop it in that beautiful case that a buddy of mine got me for Christmas one time. I'll have to, you know, thank him for
Isn't it
that.
such a good little case though? I love it.
It's the best, man. It's the best. It's just about the same size as the Max, the glasses. It's the same shape.
Yeah.
So you just put them next to each other in the case, and it just fits really nicely.
Perfect.
Perfect. It's always nice. But the last thing I actually do want to talk about, obviously, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, that video for everybody that's watching the show or listening dropped over on Juan's channel, and that's available as well as the Android 13 desktop experience that we were talking about for the On and Magic 5 Pro, as well as for the UPerfect 17-inch 4K display. That also, those are the 2 videos I've dropped earlier, and I'm working on a 3rd one this week. Hopefully, I can get the Max video produced and up on the channel. Hopefully by this weekend. But you put up one more topic on the channel on the video for tonight that I wasn't even aware. What is the DaVinci Resolve 18.5 beta?
So
because I'm not on the beta channel. I'm running on. Yeah, I'm running on the main
I
channel.
wasn't either. This is the beta that pushed me over into giving it a try.
Okay.
We are both mobile nerds.
Absolutely.
And we really like portable tools that can also run really well from our phones and tablets. I think probably people who watch this or listen to this, like you'd be aware of a video editing app like CapCut.
Yeah.
What DaVinci Resolve is doing in this beta is almost every single big tool is getting spruced up or updated, but they're starting to add a lot of the conveniences and AI in our mobile apps. And one of the most immediate upgrades that I had to give it a try and I had to see how well it works. This is the 18.5 beta. It was just announced at NAB. Is that what the trade show that just went?
I usually call it NAM.
No, isn't it NAB?
Oh, I'm sorry, NAB. Yeah, is it NAB or NAM?
Hold on.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I thought it was NAM.
DaVinci at NAB. Yeah, at NAB. NAB.
NAB, not NAB.
So yeah, that's the one that just went down. Okay, sorry. That's not what's important right now. So a bunch of their like keyframing tools have been spruced up. Some new like again, if you're an editor and you really care about like having multiple channels of video and audio, simple things like you can now like sort of resync audio if something happens in your timeline. Just some really really great quality of life stuff. But one of the massive, for
Hmm.
me, one of the massive new quality of life improvements is AI generated automatic subtitles, because I
Oh, yeah,
cannot
that
stay
is
on a
something.
script to save my life. And I don't upload subtitles or a script to YouTube because it almost never matches what I actually wrote. When I
Yeah.
do, because often what I'll do is I'll just write notes and then just kind of talk my way
Well,
through
that's
those
yeah.
notes.
No, I know it's the
But,
same thing for me.
but
Yeah.
but even when I write a specific word for word script, I don't stay word for word on that script. So now in DaVinci 18.5, it'll scan through your video, it'll catch the speech, and then it'll generate individual text pieces for every sentence that you say.
And
So
he
it's
puts it
not
up
even
as
just
text.
that you get so it's not even just that you get like one wall of text. It carves each piece of what you say into its own text file that can be separately edited if you want to move. Like say you've got subtitles between two people. You can
Hmm.
move those subtitles between two people so that
Yeah.
like you can maybe make them different colors or give them different properties. You can make one italicized if it's got some special kind of emphasis.
Yeah.
It is shockingly good at tracking my style of mannerisms and incomplete sentences. Because I've got a bad habit where I like to sort of come into an idea with sort of a broken sentence. Or I
Okay.
don't always properly like say like subject noun, all that kind of stuff. I'll kind
I've
of
been meaning to
ramble
talk
through a
to you
point.
about that. I think it's one of those things we
It's
got
a
to work
problem.
on. But yeah, no, it is. It is.
It genuinely is. It does
I'm happy
make
that
communication more
that
difficult, and
DaVinci
especially
is highlighting this in many different
but
individual,ized boxes on top of
So,
you.
so actually, no. Unfortunately, DaVinci is going to be an enabler because it makes my life so much easier when it literally just gives me the proper subtitles for what I'm saying. I didn't have to like try and type out how I changed the script. Now it
Yeah.
just does it for me. So this is a little Velatrick video that I'm going to be putting together. Here, let me share my screen here real quick. That I'm going to
Oh
be
yeah.
putting
Speaking
together.
of
I'm
which,
probably going to put this out
I should
tomorrow.
have a video on Velatrick coming up very soon.
So this this
I
is
got
for
my
this is for the
yeah.
socials and stuff, and it's not super fancy, but you know it catches. So far, I've had to fix one word, and the one word I had to fix out of 3 videos that I've used it on so far was the brand name Velatrick. It just couldn't
Yeah.
spell that properly.
Yeah.
Everything else. So I demoed it on my Saramonic video.
Hmm.
So it caught that and it nailed every single weird little mannerism and quirk. In the Velatrick video that we're showing on screen right now, it's both me and my wife talking, and
Hmm.
it gets both of us. It got every single word. It properly capitalized Apple Find My as a brand name. It like
Hmm.
understood that was a proper noun. I am incredibly impressed. And the scan happens locally. You don't have to upload anything to like a server. It's not server side. It's I've got a 2080 Ti
Yeah.
in my workstation, and it's generally scanning through my audio at around 13 times real time.
Okay. That's
So
not so
if
bad.
you had yeah, it's pretty quick. As opposed to like some of the other plugins that I've used that kind of replicate this functionality, often have to go server side, so you have to upload
Well,
audio,
and
then it
it's
scans it out,
processing.
and you get your
Yeah.
SRT file,
Because
and
it's
you can
going through your
download that
audio really.
later.
It's not really going, it doesn't really need to touch the video. It can go fast when it's only doing audio because there's not really any plugins or any kind of video, no
Right.
transitions or whatever. Audio is pretty straightforward, yeah.
Well, I mean,
And it's
like, again, we're talking. If we talk about like the machine learning components on a phone,
mhm.
you can get pretty good speech to text in almost real time.
Yeah.
we like Google's live translate is surprisingly good, but you just sort of take for granted that it's going to mess up a bunch of words.
Yeah.
If you do this as a standalone processing where DaVinci software is scrubbing through your audio, you're not doing it real time, so you don't have to worry about it being immediately done in the moment, but it seems to be scanning to a quality that is significantly higher than doing a real-time live caption on an Android phone. And this is just hand in hand with so many AI tweaks. There are now new depth map scanning. The
Hmm.
AI will now use your GPU to like scan distance and depth, and it will actually create. Do you remember on the Nokia 9, you would take a photo and you'd also get a side file where it could actually look at the depth of the image captured
Yeah.
by all the
Because it was
cameras?
taking all the different cameras. Yeah.
So now that is an AI plugin that you have access to in DaVinci
Nice.
Resolve, even when you haven't shot from depth mapping hardware. It's tracking the different pieces in the scene just through software.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not DaVinci 19.
Yeah. No, no, no.
I know
I
this
get
is a
it.
0.5 update. This feels like a fundamental step, like a significant uptick for all of the little like machine learning and auto adjustments and color correction,
Yeah.
automatic subtitles, all of the tools that we have to bake this stuff in. The OptiFlow, so like when you slow down video and it interpolates frames to try and smooth it
Hmm.
out, that's been improved. Like everything has gotten smarter,
Okay.
and
I'm gonna
it's
try it.
just so immediate.
Yeah.
If you're editing, I would definitely back up your projects. If you're working on something mainline, don't trust a beta. I haven't had any crashes, but I have had a couple weird stutters that made me think like, oh no, I wonder if it saved. Oh no, it's fine. Okay, everything's okay. But if you're tooling around with some video editing software, this has rocked my socks. It's caught up
I'm
to so
wondering.
many of the
Yeah.
niceties that we take for granted in Premiere. Because
Hmm.
Adobe was way ahead of the game on a lot of this, like
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
cloning, AI processing and stuff. And
Hmm.
now, not only has DaVinci like caught it on so many of these, some of these tools are now so much easier to use than what I remember doing in Premiere to get the same effect going.
Yeah.
It really is a significant upgrade. Like it's been a lot of fun to kind of poke around. I've already learned like a couple new things like, oh, I didn't even know that the older version of DaVinci could do this, and now the newer version is doing it even better,
Even
which
better.
is
Yeah.
just a really fun experience
I'm
to
gonna
have.
try it out and see how it works. Unfortunately, right now the only system that I have that I'm able to edit videos on is the M1 Max. So I'm hoping it's available for Mac as well, and it runs as smooth as what you're saying on yours, which
Actually,
I'm pretty sure.
quite a bit of this is probably better optimized for M1 already.
Oh,
And I would
the,
be very
the,
surprised if you did something like a subtitle scan and I bet you it's probably going to go faster than on my Threadripper with a 2080 Ti.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think one of the biggest things that have surprised me the most about the M1 Max was the how fast and how efficient of a system it is, and how quick how well does it run on battery for flights, for editing, for creating content
Oh,
when I'm not connected to a power source, especially when I'm
insane.
traveling. So yeah, no, no, absolutely. And we're still early in the year. I'm sure there'll be other opportunities for us to test out. But I think if for anything else, it survived my February, I would say, travel storm that I was on. And it did the best of everything with me. MWC covering all of that and editing videos on the flight. So for me, I definitely want to try 18.5. This is exciting. Those are some of the features I appreciate about what CapCut can do. And CapCut is
Hmm.
trying to jump into the desktop experiences now. So you're seeing that there's a Windows installation version of it, there's a Mac installation, and it's
Yeah.
trying to bring in that Adobe Rush style experience onto desktop where they're trying to compete with Adobe and DaVinci
Hmm.
in that manner and try to put in their subscription. They're trying to also offer a lot of the pro stuff. So if you already own DaVinci, you get this for free. 18.5 is not a cost,
Oh yeah.
especially when you're getting all the
Well,
functions. I really, yeah.
so So some of these new AI tools will be studio only, and that is the
But that's
paid
what I meant to
version
say.
of
Yeah,
DaVinci.
yeah.
But
What I meant to
um,
say is like if you bought it, you got it.
yeah.
You don't have to buy it
Oh
again.
yeah, because
Yeah,
I bought DaVinci Resolve at DaVinci Resolve 15,
yeah. I
and
think
I
I did it at
really
17.
started using it in earnest. Like I replaced Vegas with DaVinci Resolve 16, and I
Hmm.
haven't spent another dime on DaVinci Resolve since I got it. So each of these major updates have been major updates. At the same time, if you're on if you're on an iPad, the new multi-camera workflow for LumaFusion,
Hmm.
LumaFusion 4.0 is out. I think that's a separate, like it's a separate plugin that you need to buy, but I think it's like $5, and all of their multi-tracking, multi-audio, time syncing. They've got a new um, ducking. So there's a new AI enhanced vocal lifting mode, which is
Okay.
very similar to the speech editing mode in DaVinci Resolve.
Hmm.
It is like magic to me how much better that vocal isolation processing has gotten, where I used to go through SoundForge and like I'd have to be very careful about selecting a sample of noise, and then I could kind of do a noise reduction filter, and now it's like I click a check mark and it hyper isolates my speech, and it's really rare that it gets garbled or distorted unless I'm talking over something that is very close to the frequencies of my own speech. That's pretty close to now what's in LumaFusion. So
Nice.
if you've been playing around with LumaFusion on iPad and iOS, check out LumaFusion 4. You probably have to kick them a couple more bucks, but the new plugins and the new add-ons
Hmm.
have been phenomenal. I'm really excited for if we can get uh, audio syncing.
Hmm.
So if I shoot video from my phone and I also record video from a mic, it is very difficult on an Android phone to sync up my speech to my video,
Yeah.
because you're always sort of like a fraction of a frame off, and the audio is either like a fraction of a second ahead of my mouth talking or a fraction of a second behind, but it's noticeable. And so once we get something like that auto syncing on LumaFusion,
Hmm.
it's a whole new ball game. Like if I have a garbled part of audio, but I saved it on another microphone like the Saramonic, I can drop it in there, do a sync up, replace the old track, use the new track, and then I'm off and running again. That type of
Absolutely.
processing mobile is going to be enormous. But yeah, it was a really exciting couple days for video editing announcements, just because the tools in phone editing apps have been getting better and better, and now we're starting to get that automation
Hmm.
in
In our regular desktop
mainstream.
tools. Yeah, the
The
desktop
the,
tools
the
that
new the new mat and tracking. So
hmm
so now instead of like having to specify like one point on someone's shirt, and DaVinci takes like an hour to scan your video to track this one thing, and you get like a movement curve, and then you have to go in through a bunch of nodes and
and then
customize how
trying to
those
correct
nodes
it
work.
exactly. Yeah,
Now it's
what
all
where
like AI. You just take like a paint tool with like a brush, and you say, I don't know, track right around here. And if anything in this kind of like wobbly circle that I drew, if anything moves, then just follow that, and it works way better than you think it
I gotta
would.
try those out. Yeah, I haven't done tracking. I know Adobe's had that for some time, but yeah, no, I know. I think this is one of the biggest things with DaVinci is the improvements that you get are so substantial, and I really
Yeah.
want to see more support for maybe like Windows on ARM or but more Windows side, not necessarily just Mac side. But I appreciate what they've done in the mobile space at least at this point and what they're pushing with. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's a really good tool. I love it, and once I actually do get my system back, I hopefully will be able to use it again. But until
Yeah.
then, the M1 Max is doing the job right. So I would have been dead in the water. Like my Windows laptop is, as we started this video, this live stream was basically taking a. It's like, I'm not really in the mood tonight. Just like I'm hardwired to the router, but I'm going to say
Yeah.
I have weak internet signal because that's how we're going to do it. But no, seriously,
Well, you've been pretty smooth so far on the
yeah.
tablet, so
Hey, man, the
it's been
tablet
pretty
for
good.
the win. I should be doing my stream on the tablet from now on and circumvent. I just need to position you in a better spot. But real quick, before we go too far, I want to kind of address real quick. Aditya kind of dropped this question in there. He had a question regarding this guy. So I have two posters in the corner of my office. I have both Goku. One of them is Super Saiyan Level 2, and then the other one is Ultra Instinct by Barrett Biggers. Is an artist that I've been following for quite some time. He does a lot of original anime drawings, and these are some of his older style posters. But I've had them for quite some time in my videos, and I typically, but they're always positioned in a weird angle, so I moved it, and it's basically sitting there. But yes, it's Dragon Ball, as you can imagine. Come on, I mean, we got
It's
Goku enjoying
perfect.
some ramen. That's how we
Yeah,
do it.
it's good times.
But
So, you said you were going to get another video out tomorrow. Is that
so I'm trying to. Okay, so my goal now that I got the Velotrek, the Thunder. So I had to just a little bit of BTS. While you were working on your ST, the Thunder One ST, I had a Thunder One where I had some technical problems with some internals in there. It wasn't updating the software, and the one I had an app, which again, the whole early access and long story short. But all of that's been fixed. But I needed to get the bike itself replaced, and so I
mm,
finally got the new replacement today. I also actually got a helmet from Velotrek, which I got a chance
nice?
to check that out. Yeah, I need a better helmet. In all the videos that you see me ride scooters and everything, I'm like wearing a hat. And I'm like, yes, that's not the good thing. I need something to
Yeah,
protect the noggin. These
I
things can
care
go
about your
fast.
brain, and I would
No.
prefer you not like damage your brain.
So the good thing is tomorrow morning I'm going to get a chance to go play with that. So my goal is to try to have the video. So I have a lot of the B-roll done. I need a few more and do the A-roll, send that over
Hmm.
to review, and hopefully get approval, and then maybe get it released end of this weekend, maybe early next week at the latest.
Nice.
But that's like the next thing. I want to get that one out. I want to get the Max video out as well, because that's another one that I'm a little bit behind as well. I'm finally kind of. Oh, speaking of which, before I forget too far, Aditya, thank you very much. He put in a comment saying Eid Mubarak for the end of Ramadan. Yes, Ramadan is over. Starting tomorrow, I'm back to normal diet. So I can actually have my normal caffeinated personality during the day. That
Nice.
during Ramadan is a little bit harder. In the afternoon, I lose all the energy and all the drive to be able to create, and it's generally been more morning stuff. But anyways, so that's the goal for the next week, for next few days, and then so those are the next two videos for sure: the Velotric and the Max glasses AR, which I think is I'm
Perfect.
sure it'll be along the line of what Juan did on his. But so for you, you were saying something about possibly something dropping out of preview out of in the Patreon,
So
or is it something else?
yeah, the video that's in preview right now is talking about image stabilization. It's a quick 3 minute. Just I'm
Oh,
outdoors
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
kind
You
of
were
had an
mentioning that one.
idea in my brain. So that's currently in preview on the Patreon. It might go up tomorrow afternoon, but it might go up over the weekend publicly.
Yeah,
And then I've got. I was picking your brain about Hasselblad
yeah, yeah, yeah.
badged cameras, and I want to put together just a bit of an editorial. I really hate doing YouTube conflict. What phone versus this phone, and there's a winner, and but I I kind of want to dig in a little bit to how significantly different the Zeiss processing versus the Leica processing versus the Hasselblad
Processing.
processing has been. So it's not a camera showdown, Vivo versus Xiaomi versus OnePlus. It's
Mhm.
kind of a processing comparison between three camera brands that are being slapped onto the back of phone, like those labels are slapped on the back of phones.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that's not going to be. I'm most of the way through it, but that's probably going to be out early next week. So I don't think
That's
I'll
a
be
good.
able to finish it up for the weekend.
No, no. If there was one thing I probably would recommend, if you've ever had an opportunity, if you want to go someplace over the weekend to shoot some content, The Descanso Gardens are doing really nice.
Oh, yeah.
All
Big fan.
the tulips.
Huge fan,
Yeah,
yeah.
But it's like everything is in bloom. Like it's like everything,
Yeah, it's
all the
huge.
colors you want. Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, a lot of
Les
that
has
in
been
the.
asking to go to Huntington again, and we might need to make that trek too. So.
Yeah, no, for sure,
Oh,
for sure.
Easy got here just in time for us to
He's,
shut it all down.
like, thanks. Well, he's bringing us
What's
in.
up, Easy?
He's coming over just to make sure that we're there.
Easy totally missed when all of us were talking about the V60 being like the GOAT phone. I felt like that would have sent up the bat signal and gotten him over
That would have
here,
been like, no, like a little bit of a little bit of ring in the air, like, okay, somebody's talking about me. No, but on a serious note, I think overall, I think hopefully by next week we'll have a little bit more conversation. I'll be honest. I'm hoping we'll have more conversation around, or basically better experiences with cameras and optics, and we'll be able to talk a little bit more. I do want to talk to you a little bit offline as well to try to set up some time, maybe for us to do a little bit more of a meetup again.
We got to do another.
We're due, and maybe we can do a ramen meetup. I don't know. I'm just saying that right now. I'm still on that list of when am I going to get a chance to taste that ramen that you've been promising me for years now.
It's so good.
This is what I get.
Just made it again recently, and you're like, man, I am getting really good at this, at this chicken and mushroom ramen.
I may have to talk to the missus. I may have to talk to Mary, and we're like, every time he makes it, send the bat signal or just send me a tweet or a text or something. I'll be there in 45. But on a serious note, I want to say, obviously, thank you for everybody for hanging out with us on this amazing day. And yes, there's a lot of things coming up. I think the 13 Ultra is a very exciting device, and there's a lot more conversations going to be coming out around it. And hopefully when we're both able to play with it, we'll have more to be able to contribute into that conversation. And with that being said, I do want to say, be safe, stay safe. We'll see you guys next week for another episode of the Best of Our Week. Make sure to catch Juan on Monday mornings for the SGDQA. And of course, you'll find us on the interwebs, on the Mastodons, sometimes on the Twitters. I have to say it sometimes. And of course, on the YouTube and all of that. Links will be in the show notes below. Hopefully, audio podcast or audio version of this podcast will be out in the next day or so. If you'd like to be part of the replay crew, please like and subscribe as usual. And have a good evening, man. You guys, and we'll see you guys next week.